everything we do is data-led, right? So the decisions that you make, everything is based on the data that you're getting. And I think the data is getting more complex. People know no company is perfect, and they don't want to be told that the company is perfect. And so I'd rather know what's not working and how are you trying to fix it. We want to make sure that we're there to act as like career coaches for them, because it's a two-way thing, right? We're here to sell the business. Easy thing for people when they're hiring technical like developers is to put a technical test up front and say, we're looking for this, here's a test, if you pass it then we'll speak to you.
We are here with James Lafferty, VP of Talent Acquisition at Epicor. Epicor has been voted as one of the top ERP companies globally. James has over 11 years of experience in talent and organizational leadership and over 15 years of talent acquisition and technical recruiting experience. He is a multifaceted leader, and I am thankful to bring on his perspective today. James, thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for inviting me.
Could you start by telling us a little bit more about Epicor, your role, and the previous experiences that led you to the role?
Sure. So as you mentioned, Epicor are an ERP software company. We've got about 4,500 employees worldwide across many different countries. And we make cloud software for companies that make, move, or sell things. So it's the industries we sell to is automotive, distribution, manufacturing, retail, and building supplies. So I've been at Epicor for about a year, well, just over a year now. But my background, it's quite a long one, really. It starts off in the UK, where I'm originally from. I am now in Texas. So I'll tell you how I ended up here. I started off in recruitment in 2007, and on my second month in recruitment was when it was the financial crisis or the banking crisis. So it was a very rude awakening into the world of recruitment. I started off at a technology recruitment company, so on the agency side. And starting off in a recession, I had to learn things the hard way. This was based in a place called Reading, which is about 40 miles west of London. And so I worked in the agency side, and before Epicor, I was at a company called Austin Fraser, a technology recruitment company. I recruited for companies all over the UK and helping them with technology hiring. I ended up moving to Texas in 2015 to set up Austin Fraser. And that was really exciting because I got to launch a brand new staffing company, brand new brand. And so worked at Austin Fraser for, it was 10 years in total. And I worked with some of the best brands around Fortune 500 companies through to some successful startups. Ended up joining Epicor a year ago, and Epicor is the first company I've worked in-house. I feel like all my experience has led me to this point where I got to recruit for hundreds of different companies, learn so much about what works, what doesn't, and then bring it all to one place. So I feel very, very happy where I am.
Now, you have the benefits of longevity in the talent sphere. Based on your past experiences, what you're seeing in the labor force, and personal convictions, what are some predominant views of talent acquisition that have been held until now that need to change? And walk us through where some of those major mindset shifts need to happen for companies to survive and thrive hiring in these coming years.
I think it's a good question. I think the world of talent acquisition has evolved and changed over the years, and over the last few, it's accelerated a lot more. I think from in the past, it was, and I'm using sort of generalities here, but it was administrative. It was you're posting the jobs and managing the applications, and now it's really transformed where talent acquisition has a seat at the table. It can make or break a company's success. It's now a more strategic function. The eyes and the ears of the marketplace. the talent branding, employer branding, being able to give real-time feedback to the business as well. So it means that if the business and talent acquisition are strategic partners, you can accelerate improvement within the company as well. I think how it's evolved, technology's moved on so much as well, and that's played a huge part in the change in talent acquisition. So everything we do is data led, right? So the decisions that you make, everything is based on the data that you're getting, and I think the data is getting more complex. So when I work with my teams and work with the business, I look at the role of a recruiter, and I've got this picture, and it's like this is hiring people is one piece of this puzzle. Because I said that when we're hiring for recruiters or talking about talent acquisition, your marketing, your sales, you're selling the business to the market, your customer service, your copywriters, having to put posts out there, storytellers, data analysts. I mean, I think we do so much. The role is so varied now that you can't just be a specific type of person. You have to, I don't like the term, but wear many hats. Or surround yourself with people who are better at those things than you, and to learn from them.
Now, there is so much content out there on candidate experience, and obviously there's a lot of aspects to it, whether that's the introduction of recruitment technologies, the transformation of the interview process, internal communication, intentional communication efforts. And I know you kind of touched on this a little bit on your last question, but when approaching the topic of candidate experience with your team, what guiding frameworks, values, or methods do you use to define a good candidate experience?
Okay, so I'm wearing this shirt for a reason. Right? In our talent acquisition team, we all wear this shirt at least once a week. Candidates are at the heart and soul of what we're doing. So candidate experience is something that is so much more, I say, at the forefront these days. So candidate experience is across the whole candidate journey. And so we don't have specific buzzwords which we use to define or measure the candidate experience. But what we do is look at the end to end of when a candidate would first off engage with our brand, or first they hear about our brand. So Epicor has been around for 50 years. So a lot of companies that have been around for 50 years should be well known. I didn't really know too much about Epicor until I was contacted by the recruiter. So I think the talent branding or piece is something that we've really worked on. But candidate experience, I think we've just got to put ourselves in the shoes of the candidates, right? And go, what are they thinking? How are they feeling? And acting with empathy, because looking for a job can be really stressful. And so we want to make sure that we're there to act as career coaches for them, because it's a two-way thing, right? We're here to sell the business, but you've got to be realistic as well, and we'd often, when I'm interviewing someone, it's always, I'll tell you the good, the bad, everything you want to know, because we don't want there to be any hidden secrets going into this. And I think people appreciate that honesty, and it kind of sets the tone for that engagement, that experience. And people know no company is perfect, and they don't want to be told that the company is perfect. And so I'd rather know what's not working, and how are you trying to fix it. Part of the candidate journey is gathering the feedback from candidates as well. What they liked, what they didn't like, also from hiring managers. It's a continuous improvement to solve the challenges that we have. I feel like it's one of those things where it's I think it's painting the Golden Gate Bridge. I think it's once they've finished painting it, they have to start again because it takes so long to do it. And I think with the candidate experience and candidate journey, it's much the same, where by the time you feel like you've got through the whole process, you go back to the start and go, okay, let's look at this again and see how we can make it more efficient. And I think so. The overall goal for a candidate experience is if you don't get the job, you still want to work for that company. And because the people who do want to who end up working for the company have obviously had a good experience. But I think it's really telling when someone doesn't get the job. That's when you a true test of the candidate experience. Some of the things that we've done to improve on that and make sure that people leave with a really positive impression of our brand is like if someone doesn't get the job, we provide them a service which is interview training or ways to write your resume, and also like help them on their journey because we want to make sure that people leave with a really good impression.
Wow. I first of all love that you mentioned transparency. I think there's a lot to be said up front from a company that's willing to share the good, bad, and the ugly, because that builds so much trust. And that's a huge part in the last couple of years. Candidates really, really want to know why, and companies need to be able to respond to that. So the fact that you guys offer that is really valuable. Now, you joined Epicor a little over a year back. You joined at a pretty crazy time in the labor market. Could you share some key points in how your team navigated through the war for talent and the Great Resignation?
So our fiscal year runs from October through to September. So I've just been speaking to my teams around the world just to give them an end of year wrap up. And when I started talking, I was like, well, we had the war for talent, Great Resignation. You got the quiet quitting. You've got some others. It was like a new term. It was always thrown at us, and I feel that for those of us in talent acquisition, we can probably hopefully enjoy some time off at the end of the year because we've been through it. I'm aging in dog years this year, so it's been a lot, and I think the great thing. There's been so much to learn, right, this year, and I think it's been the Great Awakening, or another term to throw in there. What we've done is make sure that we're staying close to the business, staying close to the needs, and them understanding. We're hiring a lot of people, but also attrition is upticked as well. So we're making sure that we're not just looking at what we're bringing into the business, but how we're making the lives of our employees an enjoyable one, and they want to stay here as well. I think there's a great deal of empathy across the business for talent acquisition. There's times when we feel pressure, right? Pressure on hiring numbers. However, every single hiring manager that we spoke to was like, I know how hard your job is. Every time I open or read the news, I just see everyone in talent acquisition talking about how difficult it is. So I felt that we had the backing of the business to do what we needed to do, and where we needed investment, the business was willing to put their money where their mouth is and go, well, if we do this right, we can solve these challenges. And we weren't like, no company was, I think, immune to what was going on in the world, and there's testing times. But I think that overall, you look at what you could have done differently, and reflect and go, well, if we was to do this again, like what would I have done differently to get a different outcome? And that drives improvement throughout the business. Whether it could be looking at how we onboard or welcome our employees through to internal mobility was one which we looked at and go, well, people are leaving to go for other opportunities. Are we being as visible as we could be with those similar opportunities here? Because we should make, as talent acquisition team, we should make it easier for employees to get a job internally than it is externally. Because I said every single person was getting inundated with messages from other recruiters from other companies saying, "Come and join us," right? And so I think you can't stop other people messaging your staff, but you can, if you treat them right, then they're not going to be able to respond, or they're not going to be interested in taking that call. And so I feel like it's a number of different things that we've done this year to sort of weather the storm.
Now, really in alignment with that last question, what have you found are some of the most difficult roles to fill and why? And what are some of the advice that you may have to other companies struggling to fill these roles?
So we recruit positions all around the world, like finance, technology, consultants, HR, marketing, like everything, all around the world. So there's probably different challenges in different countries that we face, and that when I was onboarding and trying to understand the complexities of the business, that was one thing. It took me a while to get my head around about where are the I say problem areas, but where are the significant challenges within hiring. I think is ironic because I think technical hiring is probably the most difficult, and I've got 15 years of technical hiring experience. So it's technical hiring is because it's so competitive, and I can loop this all together because I think the candidate experience is really important with the technical hiring. The easy thing for people when they're hiring technical like developers is to put a technical test up front and say, we're looking for this, here's a test, if you pass it then we'll speak to you. And the way in which I describe that is like putting a barking dog at the door. Like it doesn't feel very welcoming. And so I think the technical positions have been the hardest to find because we have, like every company, have very high standards with what we look for because we're a SaaS software company, so we need to have really like great engineers. It's competitive because the cities in which we hire, there's a lot of bigger companies out there with probably bigger brands and very famous companies. So I'm going to say David and Goliath, right? But it's a challenge because these engineers that we're trying to hire, everyone else is trying to hire as well. So I think something that we've been trying to work on is not just the experience. So they're having conversations, we're understanding what they want rather than just, hey, can you give us what we need? Here's the test. Understanding if it's a good fit up front. And then trying to articulate the impact that they have on the business. So it's not like, hey, you come in and you sit at this desk and you do this job, but it's like, this is the product you'll be working on, and here's the impact you will have on the business, and this is how it shows up in everyday life. Whether say we've got retail or distribution or things like the industries like that, we can show them, well, here's some of the customers and here's the products that you are working on in a store somewhere. So trying to make it real life rather than just a job.
Absolutely. Now, I'm always a sucker for personal stories of impact, and I love seeing the posts on Epicor's recognition platform honoring your 1 year at the company. Can you tell us some of your secrets for thriving as a TA leader and key lessons that you've learned along your journey?
So if anyone wants to connect on LinkedIn, feel free. But I posted that. We have a recognition platform which for birthdays, anniversaries, or just service recognition. And so if someone goes above and beyond or helps you out, you can give them it's called a star card, and it's great, because sometimes you get caught up in the day to day, and you might forget to thank someone or take it's just that's their job, that's what they do. But this is actually stopping and saying thank you, and it means a lot. So looking at my 1 year anniversary, I had so many messages from people that I'd spoken with, or worked with, whether it's hiring managers, my team, my boss, whatever. It was so didn't just make my day; it made my week reading that. I was really proud of it, and I think I've been in a leadership role within talent acquisition or recruiting for 11 years, and I think I've just learned a lot. I've worked with some great leaders. And what I've tried to do is just learn pieces from each person that I've worked with on, what makes them a great leader. Okay, I want to use that, but what I'm not going to do is just copy their style. I'm always going to be authentic and true to who I am, because if I try and be someone I'm not, then it's going to come across disingenuous. And so I think learning from others, listening to everyone, because I don't care if you've been here, 3 months or 30 years, everyone has the potential to have good ideas. And so I'm always listening to everyone's feedback and actioning that. I think creating a safe space is really important as a leader. You could probably tell from like just us talking, like I'm not going to be coming down on you like a ton of bricks, right? I want to be like, I'm always like myself, and I want to create a space for my team, my leaders, to be creative. You're not going to get, ideas just shot down. They'll be tested, of course, but I think I want everyone to be brave, be bold, comfortable to bring ideas to the table, and hey, let's try new things, because you can't get innovation unless you're trying things that haven't been done before. You can always copy someone else, but you're just going to get similar results to someone else. So creating that safe space to bring the ideas, but also the safe space to be able to fail. And like really, we work in talent acquisition, right? We're not brain surgeons or anything like that. So it's not catastrophic. It's like we learn from it. We keep things going, and even though it might not work, it might be like, hey, we just got to change a few things and we'll see a different result. But I think that helps everyone grow, and it gives people exposure into areas that they maybe haven't thought of before. If you just head down and focus on filling jobs, like some people want to do that forever, some people don't. So giving some people opportunities to work on other projects, like it sometimes lights a fire that they didn't know they had. And so that, it could send their career off in a different direction. And if they want to go off and do something else within the business, then I love that. That's what I want. I want to see people succeed. I want to see people's careers blossom. And I see my job is we're giving the direction, but also creating the space for people to perform their best work.
Last question for you, James. At Solvable, we're all about what drives purpose and satisfaction for people at work. So I'd love to know what drives purpose and satisfaction for you at your job.
So belonging. I think people help people find a place where they belong. And I mentioned be authentic. They can be themselves and create an environment where people are proud to work. They can progress their career, they can thrive and do things they didn't think were possible. And I always think, tell my team, it's about, you've got to have fun while you're doing it. I mean, it's maybe a bit of a tired saying, but you spend more time with the people you work with than your friends and your family. So I really think that you got to enjoy the journey as well as just the results.
James, thank you so much for being on with us today. And thank you all for listening to Architects of Contemporary Hiring.
Thank you.